Hey everybody, it's Heath West, and we are here. James, I got to tell you, there are commercials for beer that talk about the most interesting man in the world, but I have a feeling you, my friend, are now the most interesting man in the world because of your crazy travels and in the last week you were in Key West,
It's crazy.
you saw Sting in concert, you were on stage with Chris Martin of
Yeah.
Coldplay,
Yeah.
and then now you're coming to the Treasure Coast. What's life been like for you lately?
And we had Mother's Day in between that. I lost my mom 2 years ago, shouting out to all the moms out there. And then after all that happened, just 2 nights ago, the Eagles performed at Vanderbilt Stadium. And I went to see the Eagles too, which was awesome. Because I've done a show at the Bluebird actually with Vince Gill, and he's of course now an Eagle. And it's been an amazing week, starting with Key West. It's incredible.
So
Yeah, yeah.
last week we had an iHeartCountry world premiere of a brand new Kenny Chesney song. He's got his own
Yes.
record label now. First single out, it's called Carry On. It's fantastic.
Yes.
But he's got a new project that he's mixing together right now, and you're
Yes.
involved with that, aren't you?
Yeah. So I was on a boat in Panama, Central America, about 2.5 months ago, and Kenny's cut several of my songs in the past. Guys named Captain, Wasted, all these songs. And I got a text a couple months ago saying, "Hey, he's got his new album coming out, which is Carry On as the first single on his own label, like you say." And I have a song called Lifeboat that he said is going to be on that record. I'm really excited about it. I wrote that with my friend Kat Higgins, who wrote Knowing You, big hit of his recently, and also with Gordy Sampson, who wrote Jesus Take the Wheel, and Troy Verges, a good friend of mine. The four of us wrote that. Anyway, Lifeboat's on there. And then he's got another project of lifestyle songs, kind of like beach songs, and two other songs, which I'll be playing at the Treasure Coast Festival, he said is on that record. So, hey, his singles comes out. That means hopefully his record will come out soon. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah, I
He's
read that
been
he
pretty,
was
yeah.
mixing it right now, so he's got the
Yeah.
songs recorded, I think.
Yeah, and being a guy that records, I of course, write songs that other artists record, but I also put out an album a year, and I know what it's like when you're trying to put together and narrow it down to 12 songs. I guess maybe the idea is to do what Morgan Wallen does and put 22 songs on a
No,
record.
40 songs on there.
40 songs. I don't know, but Kenny's had a 20, 30-year career, an amazing career, so
A
he
Hall of
knows what he's
Fame career
doing.
now.
Hall of Fame career, and he's gearing up for the Sphere, this summer, and I know it's going to be even bigger and better than last year. So he's a busy guy. I just really appreciate him and revere him as a songwriter and an artist because he's great. I can't wait to hear the songs on the new album or albums.
I'm excited to kind of get a sneak peek from
Yeah,
one of the people who wrote one of those songs, that being you at our Treasure
yeah.
Coast Songwriters Festival.
Well, it's funny. I will be performing all three of those songs plus a lot of other ones this week at Treasure Coast, and then I'll be performing another one called "Someday Island," which is a song that you mentioned Chris Martin, which blew us away. He came to the Bluebird Cafe Friday night, showed up unannounced with a good friend, Holly Williams, a friend of mine. That's Hank Williams' granddaughter. Awesome. He was in town because his daughter Apple is graduating from Vanderbilt University.
Oh, I didn't know she went to Vanderbilt. That's cool.
Yeah, Vandy. Yeah, I think and it's fantastic. He's a good dad. And anyway, so he showed up at the Bluebird, and he pops into Nashville every once in a while. And he showed up at the Bluebird. We played our songs, and I wanted to get him up to sing, and he wouldn't come up and sing a song and he told me afterwards, he said he didn't want it to be all over the internet the next day. And I think it was really cool how I think he wanted this to be the weekend. He was here for his daughter quietly, and he was here appreciating songwriters.
That's
In
cool.
fact, afterwards, I played Someday Island. That's a song Tim McGraw just recorded. And
Well,
years
tell me about
ago,
that.
yeah, years ago, Chris actually recorded with Tim McGraw on a movie that Gwyneth did called Country Strong, I
Yep,
think.
absolutely. Yep.
I had a song in that. Anyway, we played Friday. I performed this song that McGraw just recorded called Someday Island, which I will perform. And he really liked that song. He came up afterwards, which was like the ultimate compliment. He goes, nice song. And he hung out and we talked for probably with a couple other people and there for about an hour, until they had to close the place down. And it's just, if you've ever seen him in concert, he's the consummate, ultimate performer, showmanship, poetry. He knows it's a concert experience. It's all involving. It's beautiful, beautiful experience, as I'm sure your listeners know.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing
That
it
was
for
incredible.
25 years now. He's with Coldplay. It's just been an amazing run for him and that band.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw him at Nissan Stadium here last year. I'd never seen him live could never see him, and he was the band incredible. So to have him in the private confines of the Bluebird there was incredible, and the Bluebird's amazing because I have been looking over the shoulder of Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers performing there in this tiny room, and also Steven Tyler got up on stage. And it's just the Bluebirds only holds like 80 to 100 people. It's intimate, but it's still got all this magic. And so we love as performers performing there, you know.
And speaking of intimate, that's kind of to segue into our Treasure Coast Songwriters Festival.
Sure. Yeah.
Small and intimate, though it can get rowdy when we want to, as was the case last year when for some reason I sang with you on stage and we did Piano Man, which I don't know how that happened because I wasn't drinking. But we love the
Well,
intimacy of the Songwriters Festivals because we hear the stories behind the songs. And some of these stories are just fantastic, like the song that you wrote, Kenny Chesney recorded, Guys Named
yeah.
Captain.
Yeah.
Love hearing those stories of how
Hmm.
it goes from point A to point B.
Yeah. Well, Nashville is the place where that happens. People come into the Bluebird or the listening room in Nashville, and they come from all over the country, the world actually, to hear exactly those stories. So the beautiful thing is we're taking this intimate experience down to Treasure Coast, Stewart, right? And so for 3 or 4 days, you're going to get these writers and get all the stories right in your backyard. And it's really pretty cool to hear how I wrote the song "Guys Named Captain" for my dad as a love letter to him. I miss him. I lost him 10 years ago now. And then how that would get to Kenny. He would hear it. He would resonate with it. And then the domino pieces that fall into place. He gets Mac McAnally from Buffett's band to record the guitar on it, puts it out. And, these are stories that you'll hear this week at the Treasure Coast Festival, which are amazing. Yeah, amazing.
And we have you who sure you're in Nashville and you travel abroad, but you've got that home there in Fort Pierce, right?
Oh man, my dad and mom settled there. I grew up in the Panama Canal Zone, way farther south than even Miami. But that's why I love Florida so much. I love the East Coast. That's my vibe. So my parents, when we moved back from Panama, I ended up going to college at University of Miami, then went to LA, and then went out to Europe for 7 years, then Nashville. All that time, my parents settled in Fort Pierce 33 years ago. So Hutchinson Island, North Hutchinson Island has been our home. So all my travels to Europe, all my last 20 years in Nashville, going home, especially in the winter, awesome, Florida. It was always fly to Orlando, get in the rental car, boom, I'd be on the coast of Florida. And Fort Pierce is an hour and a half away. Stewart, Jupiter, Fort Pierce, Melbourne, that's my jam. And if I want my Cuban coffee, I'd run down to Miami and get crazy for 2 days and then get out of that and get back up to where the traffic isn't so crazy, where it's
Exactly.
mellow. Vero Beach. And then in my last, 20 years, you meet Scotty Emmerich, local guy, of course, great writer. And then Jake Owen, and I are buddies. I've done some of his charity work in Vero. And it's just an amazing, amazing place to go home to. I'll always have that as home
Yeah,
now.
we enjoy having as hometown as we can get with you as part of our Songwriters Festival every year. I know I mentioned this to you last year, but I'm still, who knows what you were writing or what became of that. But Nashville is such a small town. I was there for 3 days.
Yeah.
I went to the BMG building and
Yeah.
I'm getting off the elevator and I turned and it's like there's James Slater just
That's
walked by
crazy.
and you didn't
Yeah.
see me, but I texted you later and it's like you wouldn't by chance be in the BMG building. He's like, yeah, I just finished doing some songwriting here. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I always think back on that and wonder, what did you write that day that we were passing in the hallway?
Man, who knows?
Who knows?
It could be something on Luke Combs' record,
Right.
or Kenny, or Keith Urban, or all that. I spent like, they've been my publisher for the last 9 years, and so I spend them 5 days a week, usually 4 or 5 days a week. Sometimes you write at home here, and sometimes you write at the office because of things like that. Like, I'm sorry we didn't get to say hi or have a coffee that day, but every day you might bump into now, Stephen Wilson Jr., writes there and records, he's
Crazy.
blowing up. And, we have, a Broken Bow, BBR, and BMG all in the same building. So you
Yep.
got Jelly Roll running around, or Steve, or, it's just, it's a beautiful thing, I'm glad you got to come in and see the building. It's a beautiful place to work, isn't it?
Yeah, great people there as well. In
It's
fact, I had
nice.
seen Jelly Roll. He had done a thing for the iHeart stations that morning, and then I went from there and hung out with some folks from Broken Bow and BMG. And then I'm like, I'm working in one of the offices. They're waiting on an airplane, and I see
Yeah.
you walk. I said, wait,
Isn't that crazy?
is that who I think that is? It's so funny. So,
Well,
well, I
and
actually get to see you in the in the flesh, and be able to talk to you this weekend at our Treasure Coast Songwriters Festival. We love having you here, and you are like our spokesmodel for the Songwriters
I love
Festival,
it.
and we love you, and we appreciate all you've done for us.
Well, I just left Key West Songwriter Festival. That happens once a year, and it started kind of like yours is. That's probably, I think they had the 30th anniversary this
Yes.
year.
Yep.
I've been going
Mhm.
for 20 years, and I've watched it build, 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 build. Amazing, right? Incredible. But what I love about the Treasure Coast Festival, man, and your listeners, man, this is the time to go. It's like, a smaller group of writers, intimate. You get to talk to the people, find out the stories, and afterwards we'll have a beer with you, and hang out. And you've got 3 4 days of intimate writer shows in 2 different locations, which is good. You don't have to run around all over town. You can come see my show, then walk over to the Pearl or whatever, and see shows. So really, it's a blast. I absolutely love it. And it's such a fertile. The Treasure Coast is a fertile ground for writing songs. I
And
end up always coming back and writing songs that I started there when I'm there
that's
at the
awesome.
festival.
We,
Oh
we
yeah.
have we have some great fans of the festival as well that are so receptive to the stories and the creation of the hits, as well as
Yes.
songs that are just from your heart that maybe no one's recorded yet, but just like
Yeah.
this is in my heart, and they're so receptive to that, and that's I love kind of standing aside, kind of from your angle off to the side, seeing
Yes.
those eyes, and just enjoy
Yeah.
as they enjoy the stories and the music.
Yeah, and then of course we have the kind of traditional start to really get big, the jam session that you sang at last year, and I'm sure we'll pull you up on stage for that. But you have a kind of on the Saturday night, a nice jam session where you kind of just it's almost like the Grateful Dead meets the Caribbean. You know what I mean? We just kind of wing it, and all the people that are stayed for the show just hang out, and we could play anything there. Anything goes at that point. It's so
I
much
might
fun.
even sing Piano Man, and
You've got to.
who
Are you
knows?
kidding? Hey, Billy Joel, I'm a piano man, and I'm a Elton John, Billy Joel, and that's why I was telling Chris Martin the other night. I said, man, we need more people like us. He's a piano guy too. He plays guitar and piano. He's so damn talented, it's ridiculous. But we got to keep. Look, Billy Joel's not touring now because he's going through some health stuff. Elton John has kind of, I think, called it quits.
Right?
Man, we are missing the piano men, so I am carrying the flag right at the Treasure Coast. We'll definitely play Piano Man. I'll be rocking that piano all week long.
Cannot wait, man. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, James, for participating again this year, and we're going to knock it out of the ballpark and have 4 great days of music and stories, and maybe a few beers as well. So.
yeah. You still got rum down there too? You got a little rum down there
We
too?
probably can find some
Yeah,
rum. I bet there's
yeah,
some rum behind the bar at both the Pearl and Pirates Cove.
yeah. And we'll be eating some great mahi mahi. Oh my God, the
Yes.
food there. Anywhere you're near the ocean, I hope all my guys named captains and all my girls named captain come out and support us this week. We're gonna have
Thank
a
you,
blast.
James.
Thanks, Heath. I'll see you soon. All right.
You bet.